Just remember that Pop Culture Minefield, when it's discussing rumors, are just rumors. You have to take them with a grain of salt.
From the deepest, darkest recesses of Dangerous Nerds headquarters, Keith Moncrief and Gerry Kissel.
Welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Minefield. That is Keith.
Hey, and that's Gerry.
And today we're going to be talking about more of this Comicpocalypse 2020. And Keith has some shit to get off his chest. Go ahead.
I do.
Get it off your chest.
Okay, I think it's pretty safe to say that the comics industry, from the mom and pop stores on up, is pretty much right now in the crapper. It's going to take a while to restart everything at this point. And if we wait until things sort of get back to normal, we're going to be waiting quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
You combine into that the fact that, and then again, when I say fact, both AT&T and Disney have not really shown that they are really committed to keeping the comic book publishers in business. Okay? I'm sorry, but they haven't proved anything to me.
Because
both say what?
They don't give a shit about it.
Well, they don't. You still got some people that think, oh, they love all this and blah, blah, blah. No. People at that level love three things. Things that they can control, things that they can make money off of, and things that, that when they have served their purpose, they can easily get rid of. That's it. And for someone like Alan Horn to even admit on camera in an interview that he doesn't understand how all of the Marvel comic book stuff works, well, technically he shouldn't have to, but he doesn't understand. And it's safe to say that Warner Brothers, the way that it was over a year ago and the way that it is now under AT&T, none of those executives understand DC Comics. And given some of the things that have been revealed about the possible plans for Superman now, it's completely
I saw the news today that Wonder Woman may replace him in the DCEU, and I'm like,
I heard another one that talked about how they are moving ahead with plans to pretty much just get rid of Cavill and go a different direction, much in the vein of what they're doing with Batman and starting all over again, possibly even a whole nother origin. And I'm telling people right now, I'm calling it right now, that this is not coming from any place else other than Abrams and his people, because Abrams is in control. You may not have the stories come out about how he's got his own, place there on the Warner lot. The thing is, they gave him nearly $1 billion to be there. Anybody that thinks right now that Abrams isn't running the show, you know what? There is no hope for you at this point. Any new Superman stuff, any new anything, has to go through Abrams, period. And he's going to have his own spin. And if they've decided that Superman needs a whole new origin, Abrams, you can't not blame him. So all you people out there who were complaining about everything that Zack Snyder was doing, don't put away your pens or your anger yet. Abrams is going to find a way of pissing you off. And he's not going to make this easy for you. He's not going to really make this easy for anyone.
right.
He could care less, even less than anybody has before, about what's going on in the comics. And I don't have very much faith in a lot of the names that keep getting bandied about to be the saviors of not only the comic book film, but comics in general. Nobody has that kind of pull nor power. Nobody with a lot of money is listening to anyone that can even be considered someone with that kind of pull or power. So at this point, it's going to have to come from the bottom up.
Well, like Kelly Jones said, at the end of this, it'll be like the Phoenix rising from the ashes. The comic industry, we'll just see basically like something new coming out of this. Marvel and DC are going to continue doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And because they don't care about the mom and pop shops, they really don't. Image does, and that's why you saw Image jump up there, because they're really an indie comic publisher, whereas Disney and Marvel are corporate publishers that they just don't understand the necessity of comics. They don't understand the necessity of the mom and pop shops, and to them, it's infinitesimal to their margins.
Well,
It's
and that's because they become part of a corporation.
right.
You know, Marvel back when DC was purchased by Warner Brothers, Marvel was still running like the Marvel of old. And
Right.
what I mean is we're talking 1975, 76. So as changes were going on at DC, Marvel was still chugging along doing what they were doing. And both DC and Marvel have been running that had been running that red line for years. The moment DC got bought out by Warner Brothers, their financial troubles were over, but their creative problems were just beginning. And while everybody was distracted by Superman the movie, the upside was, hey, you know, DC finally got a character not only on the big screen, but created, you know, had a movie that was made of their character that really fit who that character was and that everybody loved. But in exchange for that, they kind of had to sell their souls to do it. And you had a lot of Marvel fans that at that time, you know, it's like, okay, so Marvel's struggling. They had their ups and downs. Marvel went on to have some really creative things happen even after that, in the face of all of that, financial problems notwithstanding. But eventually, you know, a lot of that caught up to them, and they ran afoul of Ike Perlmutter, who ended up buying them and taking them down a different road, and that eventually led to Disney. And now comes the idea, at least in my head, that they are pretty much running the same thing. Look, they've made a lot of money. The MCU has made a lot of money, but everything really is predicated on the shoulders and back right now of Kevin Feige. Not just the films, but television and comics. And let me
Right.
tell you, even in its heyday, while Stan Lee was running Marvel the way that he didn't do it alone. He had a lot of very creative people helping him out. So anybody that thinks Kevin Feige running the show the way that he is right now, that's going to last, that's actually going to continue to be as fruitful as we have found it over the last 11 years now, you need to really, you know, the law of averages doesn't really work out that way. You know, everybody has a limited shelf life, even at their best. And Kevin Feige, I see him as someone that's maybe got another 5 to 7 years, good years left before either he decides to quit or he gets fired. And
Well,
now that you have
I also see the potential that he is going to fumble the ball. I see it coming because he begins to buy too much into his own hype, which you and I have promoted greatly here. And we start hearing these rumors of, you know, the modern feminist agenda coming into play, which I'm all for. The classic feminist agenda of equality, where side by side we are equals. But the modern feminist agenda is replace men. Men are relegated to lower characters, and women are the power characters all the time. And it's just the fan base that you want to spend money aren't going to enjoy that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and
The people who are actually spending all the money that has kept the business going over the last, let's just say the last 10 years, are not the same people who a lot of the recent films and comics are aimed at.
right.
So, you know, again, it comes down to how long are you willing to go like this? How
Yeah,
long until something happens?
Well, let's wrap up here real quick. What do you think is the final outcome over the next 5 years?
Over the next 5 years?
Yeah, for the industry. I'm not talking about the cinematic. I'm talking about for the comic industry.
Yeah, the law of diminishing returns, and because of the Diamond situation, because of everything that's been set up, because of how Diamond has handled everything, and because you have two major corporations that are in charge of the two biggest companies who don't care, yeah, things are going to have to change. So you're going to be left with a lot of independent products.
Like I said, you know, Kelly said, you know, there's going to be a burning down of the foundation, and we'll just have to see what comes up from those ashes. And anyway,
go ahead.
I was just going to say we're wrapped up.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up here. Keith, thanks for showing up. Let's do some more of these Comicpocalypse segments, and because really that's what we're going to be talking about for the next 2 years, I assume, a lot.
Yeah, because this ties into everything.
Everything's connected. Everything.
Film, television, animated cartoons, heck, even you know,
yeah, because what are you going to make a movie about if there's not a comic book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, guys, thanks for coming. That's Keith.
That's Gerry.
And this is Pop Culture Minefield, and we've been talking some nerdy nerd stuff. And with that, get out of here, you big nerds.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.